Is my blood type liquid nitrogen? Whoa. I shot up from the bed, heart hammering against my ribs, my forehead slick with cold sweat. A strange ceiling, a cheap rental room, and outside the window, an old apartment complex that had been demolished 5 years ago. Hadn't I died? Hit by a runaway truck while saving a kid darting into traffic. I clearly remembered the feeling of my body flying and the sound of bones shattering. With a trembling hand, I grabbed my phone for the nightstand. The screen lit up, displaying a date I would never forget. 10 years ago, I had been reborn. My mind was a blank slate, countless memory fragments surging in like a bursting dam. My name is Ethan Hunt. I was 28, just another ordinary guy grinding away at the bottom of society. In my last life, I drifted through achieving nothing. My only obsession was that woman, Lena Sterling. She was a goddess among mortals, the queen of a commercial empire, a cold moon hanging high in the sky. And me? I was just the most insignificant speck of dust among the countless who looked up at her. Our only connection was a fleeting glimpse of her at a business forum, where I was working as an event security guard. That was the first and last time I saw her alive. A month later, the news was flooded with reports of her death. A meticulously planned car crash. I don't know what I felt at the time, only that a void opened up in my chest. I started obsessively collecting everything about her, piecing together her life. I learned about her business rivals, her family conflicts, her hidden loneliness. I even spent 3 years going undercover in the rival company responsible for her death, just to find a trace of that accident. But before I could do anything, I ended my meager life early saving an unrelated child. Now I was back to 10 years ago, when she was still alive. On the phone screen, her picture remained cool, her eyes holding a distance that pushed people away. Lena Sterling. This time, I won't let you walk the same tragic path. I leaped out of bed and rummaged through the tiny rental room, finding the only decent suit I owned. Shaking the dust off, the smell of mothballs hit me. I had a plan. A crazy, but perhaps the only viable plan. I needed to get close to her. Sterling Corp., CEO's office. I stood ramrod straight, but my palms were sweating. Across the desk, Lena Sterling was reviewing my resume. A forged resume. I claimed to have worked overseas as a private assistant and bodyguard for a wealthy magnate, proficient in combat, driving, and emergency procedures. Of course, those skills were real. I had driven myself to learn them like a madman in the years after her death. She finally looked up, her eyes like blades quenched in ice, stabbing right at me. Ethan. Her voice was as cold as her gaze. Your resume is impressive. Impressively unrealistic. I steadied my nerves, my prepared speech ready on my tongue. Abilities need practice to prove them. Here we go, the legendary Ice Queen CEO pressure interview. OMG, she's 100 times better looking in person than in pictures, and 100 times colder. The way she's looking at me is like I'm a piece of inanimate hardware. Does she run on liquid nitrogen? What do I say if she asks why I applied? Because I know you die in a month, and I'm here to save you? She'd probably call security and have me dragged out on the spot. Nope, stay cool. Emulate her. Yes, be like her. As I was battling my inner monologue, Lena suddenly paused. Her fingers, holding the resume, stiffened almost imperceptibly, and her brow furrowed. She seemed to be straining to hear something. The office was silent enough to hear the faint sound of the air conditioning vent. A trick of the year. Why choose Sterling Corp? She spoke again, her voice now carrying a hint of scrutiny. Sterling Corp is a top-tier enterprise, offering the best platform and compensation. I replied in the most official tone possible. Standard answer, perfect score. Don't, under any circumstances, reveal that I'm actually your biggest fan. I mean, your savior. Quick, be impressed by my sheer awesome aura and hire me. I'm the best investment you'll ever make. Personal bodyguard, all-around handyman, future crisis prognosticator, a 3-in-1 deluxe package. Apply now and get a bonus interesting personality. Lena's expression turned odd. Her gaze swept past me to the wall behind me, then returned to my face. Her look was as if she were confirming something utterly unbelievable. She had been hearing a voice for a full week now, a jarring, intermittent sound, as if emanating from the depths of her mind. Doctors found nothing wrong, and she was almost convinced the stress was causing auditory hallucinations. Until now, this man, Ethan Hunt, while answering her question, had an instant commentary track running in her head. And the content was ridiculous. Liquid nitrogen? Interesting personality? Lena tightened her grip on the pen in her hand. She observed me subtly, while I strained to maintain a poker face that screamed, I am highly professional. What are your salary expectations? She changed the subject. I trust Ms. Sterling will offer a figure commensurate with my abilities. I continued playing the part. Salary? Just give me enough to eat. Room and board included would be ideal. My current bank balance is cleaner than my face. As long as I can stay by your side and stop that car crash, I'd pay you to let me. Of course, I can't say that. I have to project the image of a detached sage who views money as dirt. Yes, exactly, the detached gaze, a slight, knowing smirk. I struggled to adjust my facial muscles, attempting a profound expression. Lena's lips twitched, barely noticeable. She was 100% certain now. That voice was coming from the man in front of her. She could hear his thoughts. What an absurd conclusion. But the facts were undeniable. She looked at me, the icy coldness in her eyes slowly receding, replaced by an unprecedented mix of shock, absurdity, and a sliver of curiosity. This man, outwardly so serious with an incredible resume, was inwardly a complete goofball. Suddenly, the anxiety and irritation of the past week seemed to dissipate. One final question. Lena put the resume down and leaned slightly forward. My security team consists of top-tier, retired Special Forces operatives. Why do you believe you can outperform them? This was a trap. If I agreed, I'd be disparaging her current team. I was prepared. I pulled a small USB drive from my pocket, placed it on the desk, and pushed it toward her. This is something I retrieved yesterday afternoon from beneath the potted plant right outside your office door, without triggering a single physical alarm. The USB contained a photo of an emergency access card hidden under the plant, a tiny, almost unknown oversight in Sterling Corp security. In my previous life, a corporate spy had exploited this very loophole once. Haha, got you there, didn't I? This is intel I worked my butt off for in my past life. Don't fall for me, I'm just a legend. Look at me with shock now, and then loudly declare, that's it, you're hired. Start tomorrow. Lena picked up the USB and plugged it into her computer. When she saw the clear photo, her pupils contracted sharply. She looked up, staring fixedly at me. In her mind, my triumphant internal monologue was echoing loudly. She was silent for a long time, so long that I thought I'd blown the act and prepared to slink away. Then she spoke. Be at my villa at 7 a.m. tomorrow. Her voice was still cold, but for some reason, I thought I detected a nearly imperceptible hint of amusement. Your title will be my personal assistant, moonlighting as bodyguard and driver. You will have full command over all security personnel. She paused, then added 1 month probation, room and board included. Yes, success. I knew it. When Ethan Hunt steps up, he handles 2 people at once. A villa, room and board. Here I come. I suppressed the urge to pump my fists and bowed deeply to her, responding in the most steady voice I could manage. Yes, Ms. Sterling. Stepping out of the office and closing the door, I nearly jumped for joy. Back inside, Lena leaned back in her chair, finally unable to hold it in. She covered her face with her hand. Her shoulders were shaking slightly. She wasn't crying. She was laughing. For the first time in 24 years, she felt that perhaps life wouldn't be so boring after all. The walking live-action subtitles at 6:50 a.m. the next morning, I was right on time at the gate of Lena Sterling's villa. It was a luxurious estate perched halfway up a hill, heavily fortified with security. After I gave my name, the butler, Uncle Lee, let me in. Lena Sterling was sitting in the dining room reading the financial morning paper, dressed in a sharp business suit, her long hair meticulously pinned up. Ethan, starting today, you are responsible for all my daily affairs and security. Uncle Lee will give you the specifics. She didn't look up, her tone flat. Understood. I stood at attention. Wow, the breakfast spread of a capitalist is different. Even the cutlery costs more than everything I owned in my last life. Is this the gap between us? No, Ethan, pull yourself together. You are now her man's nanny. Your mission is to protect her, not envy her. Speaking of which, her makeup is very light today, but she's still stunning. Her skin is incredible, like a peeled egg. Lena's hand, turning the page of the paper, paused for a second. She put the paper down, picked up her coffee cup, and took a sip, seemingly using the action to mask the curve of her lips. Is this man a walking, live-action subtitle track? Uncle Lee, show him around. Yes, miss. Uncle Lee was a kind man in his 50s. He took me through every corner of the villa, explaining my duties in exhaustive detail, from the security system to Lena Sterling's dietary preferences. Ms. Sterling's breakfast is a cup of black coffee, 2 slices of whole wheat toast, and 1 hard-boiled egg. She dislikes anything sweet, Uncle Lee instructed. I nodded, committing it to memory. Black coffee? How bad for the stomach is that? She already has stomach issues. In my past life, she was hospitalized several times for it. I need to find a way to make her change this habit. Can't tell her directly. With her personality, The more you tell her to do something, the less she'll do it. I need a scheme. Lena, still in the dining room, heard the rambling in my head, her eyes flickering. Stomach issues? She did have them, but only Uncle Lee and her personal physician knew. How did this Ethan know? Everything on his resume screamed suspicious. In the morning, I drove Lena to the company. She sat in the back, working on documents. The drive was silent. The weather is great today. When we get to the office, I need to check the wiring in her office first. Last time, a short circuit from aging wires almost caused a fire. Also, that VP Wong is going to try and slip her a contract with a trap in it today. I have to find a way to warn her. How to warn her? Should I burst in shouting, "The contract is a scam"? No, too stupid. The car stopped smoothly downstairs at Sterling Corp. I got out and opened her door. She stepped out, her heels clicking sharply on the pavement. As she passed me, she suddenly stopped and asked coolly, "What do you think of Vice President Wong?" My stomach dropped. Why is she asking this suddenly? Does she already suspect Wong? No. According to the timeline of my past life, she wouldn't discover Wong's issue until next month. Is she testing me by asking now? My answer has to be watertight. Vice President Wong is highly capable, a company veteran who has worked tirelessly for years. I replied without batting an eye. Is that so? Lena gave me a meaningful look. I find him a bit too anxious lately. With that, she walked straight into the building. I stood frozen. What did she mean by that? Lena, walking ahead, clearly heard my inner voice echoing in her mind. The trap in that contract is in Clause 3 on page 17, the compound interest calculation for the penalty fee. If she signs, Sterling Corp will owe an astronomical penalty in 6 months. I can accidentally spill coffee on that page later to draw her attention. Yes, that's the plan. Lena's steps quickened slightly. At the office, Vice President Wong indeed soon entered, holding a file, a forced smile plastered on his face. Ms. Sterling, this is the cooperation agreement with Star C Group. Please review it. They're pressing hard. They hope to finalize the signing today. Lena took the file and began to flip through it. Following my plan, I walked over with a freshly brewed cup of coffee. Ms. Sterling, your coffee. Here it comes. Time to test my acting skills. Steady hand, unintentionally trip on the rug. Tricky angle. The coffee must land precisely on page 17, but not burn Ms. Sterling. Difficulty rating 4. 0. Go Ethan. I took a deep breath and accidentally twisted my right ankle. Oops. The coffee cup sketched a graceful parabola. Success was imminent. Just then, Lena suddenly shot out her hand, snatching my wrist with lightning speed. Not a single drop of the scalding coffee spilled. I froze in a comical pose. Lena kept holding my wrist, looked up at me, a hint of teasing in her eyes. Be careful. What the hell? Failure. How is she that fast? My plan is ruined. I'm done for. Now she'll just think I'm a clumsy idiot. The CEO's trust is slipping away. My villa, my room and board. I wailed internally. Vice President Wong, watching from the side, frowned. Ms. Sterling, this new assistant is too unstable. Lena ignored him. She released my hand and handed the contract to me. Ethan, take this and make a copy. Then she turned to Wong, her tone flat. Vice President Wong, I need to study this contract further. I'll give you an answer tomorrow. Wong's smile froze, but he couldn't press the issue, so he left sullenly. I stood there, holding the contract, still a bit dazed. Why didn't she sign it? Did she figure it out? Impossible. Could it be? She said that just for me to hear? Does she trust me? Lena sat back in her chair, listening to my thoughts, and took a sip from another glass of water. Of course, it was for you, you fool. She picked up a pen and jotted down a note. Investigate Star C Group and VP Wong's personal finances. She handed the note to me. Go handle it. Yes, Ms. Sterling. I took the note and turned to leave. As I closed the door, I still hadn't figured everything out. Back in the office, Lena watched my retreating figure, a subtle smile playing on her lips. This new assistant, though overly dramatic in his head, seemed genuinely useful and highly entertaining. A premeditated incident. A week later, Lena was scheduled to attend a business reception. I knew about this reception. In my past life, it was at this event that her main rival, another CEO named Jack Harrison, had spiked her drink. Though she managed to escape, the next day's flood of scandalous photos caused Sterling Corp's stock value to evaporate by nearly $10 billion overnight. That was the first straw that broke her back. You are not coming to tonight's reception. Stay at the villa. Lena ordered me before we left. No. It slipped out before I could stop myself. She raised an eyebrow, looking at me. No. I said no. Am I crazy? I should have said, yes, Ms. Sterling, as you command. But how could I let her go into that viper's nest alone? That greasy, hypocritical scumbag, Jack Harrison. I wanted to beat him senseless in my last life. I have to go with her this time, protect her. My insides were roaring, but outwardly, I was flustered by my own sudden outburst. Give me a reason, Lena said, crossing her arms, looking at me with interest. Your safety is my primary duty. The reception will be crowded and full of prying eyes. I cannot be at ease leaving you. I try to keep my voice professional and calm. Right, that's the reason. Just don't say I know Jack Harrison has ulterior motives for you. She'll think I'm a lunatic. Please, let me come, my queen. I promise to just be quiet background scenery. Lena was silent for a moment. Change your clothes. We leave in 10 minutes. She dropped the command and turned to go upstairs. I let out a huge sigh of relief. Yes, got it. Jack Harrison, you smooth-talking degenerate. Your Uncle Ethan has arrived. At the top of the stairs, Lena paused, her lips twitching upward. Smooth-talking degenerate? That description was rather apt. The reception hall was opulent, glittering with wealth and beautiful people. Wearing a borrowed tuxedo, I followed Lena a half-step behind, like a dutiful shadow, but my eyes were like radar, scanning the entire room. Soon, I locked onto the target. Jack Harrison, a man in his mid-30s, his hair slicked back, holding a glass of champagne, chatting with a few people, but his eyes kept darting toward Lena. Here he comes, that lecherous look. I'd recognize it even if he were Ash. He'll definitely come over to toast her soon. I need a foolproof plan. Should I just snatch the glass and splash it in his face? Too crude. It'll cause trouble for Lena. Lure him to the restroom and rough him up? No, I'll get fired. I've got it. A perfect plan was forming in my mind. Lena was talking to a business associate while holding a glass of juice, but half her attention was focused on the live broadcast in my head. She felt like laughing. This Ethan had way too much going on in his head. Sure enough, Jack Harrison smiled and walked over. Ms. Sterling, long time no see. You're looking more beautiful than ever. Continued. He raised his glass, a malicious glint in his eye. Ms. Sterling, would you do me the honor of sharing a drink? Jack offered her a specially mixed cocktail. That's the cup. A cold glint flashed in my eyes. The moment had arrived. I walked past, carrying a tray with several glasses of champagne, pretending to be passing by. Sir, please excuse me. Just as I brushed past Jack, my foot naturally twisted. Whoa! The tray instantly lost its balance, and the glasses of champagne sailed through the air, landing squarely on Jack. Splash! The golden liquid poured from his slick-back hair onto his expensive bespoke suit, finally dripping onto his polished leather shoes. Jack was completely stunned, like a drowned chicken. The entire room fell silent, everyone's gaze fixed on us. I quickly put on a show of apology. I'm so sorry, Mr. Harrison. It was an accident. I slipped. Ha 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 ha. Did you see that? Oscar-worthy acting. That splash, that expression, that pathetic look. Simply perfect. A premeditated accident, get it? Look at that foolish face. That $50,000 Armani suit is toast today. Satisfying. So satisfying. My inner self was uncorking champagne to celebrate, but my face wore an expression of terrified apology, as if I were on the verge of tears. Jack's face went from pale to red, then to purple, finally settling on a dark, liver-like hue. He pointed at me, too angry to speak. You. Lena stood to the side, having witnessed the entire event. She looked at my over-the-top acting, listened to the triumphant laughter in my head, and almost failed to maintain her icy composure. Forcing back a laugh, she cleared her throat and stepped forward. Mr. Harrison, my assistant is new and a bit clumsy. Please don't take offense. We will compensate you for the full cost of your suit. Her tone was flat, betraying no emotion. Then she turned to me, her voice growing colder by 3 degrees. Ethan, what are you waiting for? Apologize to Mr. Harrison immediately. Roger that, boss. Starting phase 2 of the performance. I immediately bowed 90 degrees, my voice laced with tears. Mr. Harrison, I truly didn't mean it. How about I help you wipe it off? Saying that, I started to reach out. Get lost. Jack shoved me away in disgust. He just wanted to leave this humiliating place immediately. He shot me a vicious glare, then glanced at Lena, spat out a threat. Lena Sterling, you wait. And then fled the scene under the watching eyes of the crowd, clutching his sodden suit. Crisis averted. I straightened up and secretly flashed a V sign. Mission accomplished. Without drawing a sword, I made him look like a fool in public. I'm a genius. Ms. Sterling should give me a raise, right? At least a verbal commendation. Lena watched me, her expression complicated. She turned and walked toward the balcony in the lounge area. I assumed she was angry and quickly followed. Ms. Sterling, send the bill for the damages directly to Jack Harrison. She stood with her back to me, looking out at the night view, and spoke suddenly. I was completely floored. Tell him it was my assistant's accident, and he can figure out the compensation for emotional distress and cleaning fees himself. Wait a minute. What kind of move is this? The villain cries foul first? No, this is the boss supporting me? She saw I did it on purpose? Not only is she not mad, she's covering for me? Wow, my boss is the best. I love it. I love her. Lena's shoulders trembled slightly. Finally, she couldn't hold it back anymore and burst into a laugh. Under the cold moonlight, she turned around, and on that face usually covered in frost, a faint but utterly genuine smile bloomed. Well done, she said. I looked at her smile, and in that instant, it felt like all the lights in the world dimmed in comparison. The survival instinct at 112 mph, the humiliation at the reception, clearly enraged Jack Harrison. He didn't opt for business retaliation. He chose a more direct and vicious method. A week later, I was driving Lena back to the city from a construction site. We were on a secluded mountain road. My eyelid kept twitching incessantly because I remembered that in my past life, it was on this road that Lena Sterling was killed in a truck crash staged to look like an accident. My knuckles turned white as I gripped the steering wheel. It's here. What's coming will come. Harrison is a madman. He actually made his move. Calm down, Ethan. You're not the pathetic loser from your last life who could only read about her death in the news. You trained for this. You prepared for this. You can do this. My inner self was pumping me up, but cold sweat still trickled down my temples. Lena, sitting in the back seat, closed her documents. She heard my inner monologue. Every word struck her heart like a drumbeat. A car crash? Harrison was trying to kill her? Her face instantly turned pale. But she didn't speak, didn't question. After this period of eavesdropping, she had developed a near-blind trust in me. If Ethan's inner voice said there was danger, there was danger. She glanced out the window at the rapidly retreating trees, then at my top profile. Ethan, she said, her voice remarkably steady. Hold on tight. No, that was my line. I glanced at her in the rearview mirror. She had already fastened her seatbelt and was gripping the handrail tightly with both hands. She knows? She believes me? She actually trusts my intuition just like that? No. I have to be calmer. I can't let her be scared. Just then, at the edge of the rearview mirror, a massive black shape appeared. A heavy dump truck, like a rampaging beast, was roaring toward us at an unnaturally high speed. That was it. My pupils contracted instantly. Hold tight, I roared, wrenching the steering wheel hard while slamming the accelerator to the floor. The Rolls-Royce engine roared, and the chassis executed a beautiful drift, narrowly avoiding the dump truck's first impact. The screech of brakes and the blast of the horn echoed through the valley. The dump truck, having failed its first attempt, immediately corrected its course and charged at us again. Its objective was clear, to push us off the road and down the nearby cliff. Brace yourself. My brain worked at lightning speed, adrenaline surging. I had studied this road countless times. Every curve, every slope was etched into my memory. The left is the cliff, the right is the mountain. There's a sharp turn 300 meters ahead, immediately followed by a continuous S-curve. The truck's weight is its weakness when cornering. I have to ditch it there. Lena was tossed back and forth in the rear seat, but she bit her lip hard, not making a sound. She could clearly hear my chillingly calm, tactical analysis running in my head, intertwined with the wild, frantic thumping of my heart. These two sounds created a strange tension, making her forget fear and feel only absolute trust in me. Roar! The dump truck rammed us again, scraping the tail of the car hard, producing a teeth-grinding metallic screech. The chassis shook violently. Steady! Steady! The survival instinct at 112 miles per hour. Unleash it. Back in the day, I was the king of Los Santos in GTA. I held the steering wheel with white knuckles, my eyes fixed on the road ahead like a hawk's. The sharp turn was here. I slammed the brakes, spun the wheel hard to the left, and the car shrieked at the edge of losing control, scraping past the mountain wall at an almost impossible angle. Adrift. The dump truck clearly hadn't anticipated such madness. Its massive body couldn't turn in time, and with a deafening crash, it slammed into the mountainside, sending rocks flying. I didn't slow down at all, keeping the accelerator pressed, speeding into the following S-curve. Through the rearview mirror, I saw the dump truck struggle to pull itself off the rock face. Its front end was deformed, but it relentlessly pursued us. Simultaneously, another black sedan appeared ahead, blocking our path completely. Attacked from both front and rear. Damn it, there's a backup plan. Harrison, you bastard, you spent big money on this. This is trouble. My heart sank. The car was forced to slow down. The dump truck was getting closer. Four burly men, armed with steel pipes, stepped out of the black sedan, approaching us with menacing looks. Ethan, Lena's voice trembled slightly. Stay in the car, lock the doors, and don't come out no matter what happens. I looked back and gave her a reassuring smile, though I had no idea what I was smiling about myself. Damn it, this is it. In my past life, I couldn't protect you. In this life, even if I die, I will ensure you live. I pushed the door open and stepped out. Lena watched my retreating figure. The man who usually seemed a bit lazy, whose head was full of sarcastic commentary, now stood like an insurmountable wall between her and danger. Her eyes instantly turned red. Hey kid, you can run pretty well, the bald man leading the group sneered, weighing the steel pipe in his hand. How much did Harrison pay you? I roll my wrists. I'll pay you double that. Get lost now. Huh, tough guy, when you're about to die. Boys, get him. The boss said to keep the girl alive, but beat the man to death. The four men charged at me simultaneously from four directions. I took a deep breath. Continued, the first guy on the left has an unstable stance. I'll deal with him first. The one on the right is left-handed. Watch his left. The two behind. Bring on together. In Lena's hearing, my internal monologue was as calm as a supercomputer analyzing a battle. In reality, my body had already moved. The bald man's pipe smashed down from above. I sidestepped, my elbow flashing out to strike his ribcage. He grunted, folding over like a boiled shrimp. I didn't stop, seizing the pipe from his hand, and swung it back to block the attack from the man on the right, simultaneously kicking the knee of the man on the right. A crisp crack echoed. Screams pierced the sky. The remaining two were stunned by my ferocity and hesitated to charge. I gave them no chance. I raised the pipe and advanced myself. That wasn't fighting. That was a one-sided rout. In the years after her death, I had fought dirty boxing in underground rings, followed mercenaries near the border. I had learned every skill necessary to survive. I thought I'd never use them again. In less than a minute, all four men were lying on the ground, groaning in agony. I stood amidst the wreckage, my chest heaving. Dust and blood stained my clothes. The borrowed tuxedo was completely ruined. I threw down the bent pipe and looked back at the car. Lena was staring at me through the window with an expression I had never seen before, shocked, dazed. I walked to the car door and opened it. It's over. My voice was a little hoarse. Damn it. Didn't look cool for even 3 seconds. My hand hurts. I think I fractured a bone from using too much force. And my suit. I have to bill Harrison for this, right? No. Medical expenses, emotional distress fees, lost wages, vehicle repair costs, dry cleaning fees for the suit. No, this needs to be a full reset fee. I need to make a list and mail it to him. As I grimaced while calculating how to shake down Harrison, a cool, soft hand suddenly landed on my injured hand. I froze and looked up. Lena had stepped out of the car and stood before me. Her eyes were red-rimmed, staring intently at the injury on my hand and the bloodstain on my clothes. Does it hurt? She asked, her voice thick with emotion. Looking at her concern for me, something deep inside me felt like it had been struck hard. It doesn't hurt. Not at all. As long as you're safe, it doesn't hurt one bit. That's what I thought, but I tried to sound tough. Minor wound. Just a man thing, it happens. She didn't speak, only reached out her other hand and gently, delicately, wiped a trace of blood from my cheek. Her touch was light, tender. At that moment, the mountain wind, the sunlight, everything seemed to stop. My brain, for the first time ever, crashed. A complete blank. Is she trying to trap me? With my hand injured, I was forced into a few days of dependent living, waiting for clothes to be handed to me and food to be brought to me. Lena gave me time off, but she didn't let me return to my rental. I remained at the villa. It was the weekend, which was also the anniversary of her parents' death. I remembered that every year on this day in my past life, she would lock herself in her room, refusing to eat, drink, or communicate with anyone. She would inevitably be found the next day, heavily intoxicated and unresponsive. It was her most vulnerable day of the year. In the morning, I saw Uncle Lee preparing breakfast and went to knock on her door, but there was no answer. Uncle Lee sighed. The miss is like this every year on this day. No one can persuade her. We just let her be. Looking at the closed door, I felt a lump in my throat. No, I can't let her go through this again like before. Her stomach is already bad. If she keeps tormenting herself, her body will collapse sooner or later. But what can I do? Burst in and drag her out to eat? She'll definitely throw me out. I wrestled with indecision all morning. By noon, I walked into the kitchen. Uncle Lee was preparing his own lunch. Uncle Lee, Can I use the kitchen for a bit? Where are you up to, Ethan? I want to make Ms. Sterling a bowl of noodles. I remembered reading an old interview about her father where it mentioned he was from the north and his specialty was a bowl of tomato and egg noodles. The article said it was Lena Sterling's favorite taste from her childhood. In my previous life, I had practiced making this exact bowl of noodles countless times, as if doing so would bring me closer to her world. I didn't explain to Uncle Lee. I just silently started kneading the dough, slicing tomatoes, and scrambling eggs. My left hand was in a splint, making movement clumsy. I could only use my right. The process was slow and awkward. The noodles have to be hand-pulled for that chewy texture. The tomatoes need peeling, diced small, and sautéed in oil to create a rich red broth. The eggs should be extra generous, cooked until tender. Finally, sprinkle with chopped scallions. That's how her father did it. I wonder if she'll still like this taste. In my mind, the usual sarcastic commentary and goofing off were gone, replaced only by focus and a trace of barely perceptible tenderness. Upstairs, in her room, Lena sat on the carpet, her back against the bed. A bottle of red wine and 2 glasses sat on a small table in front of her. She had been in this position for a long time. In previous years, she would sit here all day, keeping company with her non-existent parents, saying things that would receive no reply. But today she was restless, because that voice, Ethan's voice, had been ringing in her head. She heard his conversation with Uncle Lee. She heard the clumsy sound of him chopping vegetables and kneading dough with one hand in the kitchen. She heard every step, every detail in his thoughts about that bowl of tomato and egg noodles. And that sentence, I wonder if she'll still like this taste. Lena's eyes, completely without warning, grew wet. After her father passed away, no one had ever made this dish for her again. She had tried herself, but could never recreate the taste from memory. Over time, it became a memory she dared not touch. This man, how much more did he know about her? And with what state of mind did he go to such lengths to learn these details that even she was starting to forget? A gentle knock sounded at the door. Ms. Sterling, I cooked a bowl of noodles. Would you like to try some? My voice held a note of uncertainty and nervousness. No response from the room. I waited for a moment, feeling a pang of disappointment. It's no use, is it? That makes sense. What am I, after all? Just a housekeeper. Who am I to touch her deepest wounds? I was being presumptuous, Ethan. I sighed, about to leave with the bowl of noodles. Just as I turned, the door clicked, thud, and opened. Lena stood in the doorway, her eyes red, traces of tears on her face. She wasn't wearing her usual business attire, but a loose-fitting robe, her hair casually down over her shoulders, making her look fragile and helpless. She looked at the steaming bowl of noodles in my hand, the red of the tomatoes, the yellow of the eggs, the green of the scallions, a warm image. It was the color she craved most deeply from her memories. I was at a loss. I just made it casually. If you don't like it. She didn't speak, but simply stood aside, a silent invitation. I understood what she meant, carried the noodles in, and placed them on the small table in the room. She walked over, sat down, and picked up her chopsticks. She picked up a mouthful of noodles slowly and put it in her mouth. Tears, without warning, began to roll down her cheeks, splashing into the bowl. I stood to the side, my heart clenching painfully. Don't cry. You've smiled so many times, and seeing you cry for the first time is harder than taking a beating myself. Is it not tasty? As I was lost in anxious thought, she suddenly looked up at me and asked hoarsely, How do you know how to make this? I learned it before. I didn't dare meet her eyes. She just looked at me quietly, as if trying to see right through me. After a long, long moment, she lowered her head and continued eating. This time, she didn't cry again. She ate very slowly, very deliberately, as if savoring the world's finest delicacy. She finished the entire bowl, even drinking all the broth. Thank you, she said softly after setting down her chopsticks. It was the first time she had ever thanked me. You're welcome, I quickly replied. Thank you for staying with me today, she added. My heart jolted. I looked at her, and she looked back at me. Her gaze was no longer cold or distant. Within it was an emotion I couldn't quite decipher, but I could feel it. Was it dependence, trust, or something else? I didn't know. I only knew that from this moment on, the iceberg named Lena Sterling had a clear, irreparable crack. And the one who chipped it was me, a reborn man, using a bowl of tomato and egg noodles that spanned 2 lifetimes. Uninvited guests from the capital of the Alliance with the Zhao family went smoothly. Lena personally brought me along to visit old man Zhao Guodong. When I accidentally brought up the specific details of how Zhao Linger was rescued overseas, The way the old man looked at me changed entirely. A business negotiation turned into a storytelling session about glorious past years. Lena sat by the side sipping tea the entire time, listening to the various versions of the hero saving the damsel stories playing out in my head, sometimes thrilling, sometimes melodramatic, all while desperately trying to maintain her cold persona to keep from laughing. Ultimately, the Zhao and Sterling families formed a strategic alliance. Lena finally had her first solid foothold in the capital. But trouble followed close behind. Our actions clearly agitated the real predators. That day, an unexpected person arrived at the villa, Lily Sterling, Lena's half-sister. A third-tier starlet who constantly frequented the entertainment industry, famous for her beauty and scandals. In my past life, she was the vanguard of Lena's betrayal. To curry favor with the Sun family's heir, the notorious playboy Sun Yu, she stole Sterling Corp's core data, delivering a fatal blow to Lena. Sister, I came to see you. Lily wore a brand new Chanel dress, carried an Hermes bag, and affectionately linked arms with Lena, as if they were the closest sisters in the world. Lena subtly pulled her arm away, her tone flat. What do you want? Oh, can't I just visit my sister if I have no business? Lily pouted flirtatiously, but her eyes quickly darted over me with unconcealed contempt and curiosity. And who is this? Sister's new bodyguard? He looks quite spirited. I stood behind Lena, staring straight ahead. Here comes the ultimate green tea, the champion of White Lotus archetypes. Looking at that outfit, Sun Yu, that clueless sugar daddy, must have bought it for her. She's here either as a lobbyist or a spy. I need to watch her closely. I can't let her near Lena's computer. Lena heard my real-time commentary, and a cold smile touched her lips. I'm tired, Ethan. Entertain our second miss, please. With that, she headed upstairs. In the living room, only Lily and I remained. Hey, new guy. Lily immediately dropped the affectionate sister act, sitting on the sofa imperiously. Pour me some water. Fiji water, with 2 slices of lemon. I went to pour the water without a word. Order me around? Who does she think she is? I'll add some flavor to her water later. Like wasabi? Or a laxative? Illegal. Maybe just spit in it. No, that's disgusting. I, Ethan Hunt, am a civilized housekeeper. I returned with the water and placed it in front of her. Lily inspected me, her eyes treating me like a commodity. How much per month? What's the point of following my ice block sister anyway? You should follow me. I promise you'll live the high life. As she spoke, she deliberately puffed out her chest. I remained expressionless. Playing hard to get? Lady, your plastic surgery implants are about to burst through your dress. Does son you know you're keeping a boy toy on his dime? Oh wait, you're trying to turn me. Too bad. I, Ethan Hunt, cannot be swayed by riches or intimidated by power. Mainly because the payoff you're offering can't beat my boss's salary. Upstairs in her study, Lena listened to everything in the living room through a tiny microphone, which I had suggested she install. She rubbed her temples, nursing a slight headache. What exactly was in this Ethan's head? Not talking, putting on airs. Lily grew annoyed when I didn't react. Let me tell you, my sister has offended people she shouldn't have. She won't last long. You're a smart guy. You know how to choose. Is the second miss finished? I asked blandly. If so, please leave. Ms. Sterling needs a rest. You, Lily shrieked, standing up and stomping her foot. Seeing my completely unmoved demeanor, she knew she couldn't persuade me, so she angrily grabbed her purse and left, her high heels clicking sharply. Before going, she turned back, her eyes venomous. You two will regret this. After she left, I immediately checked the living room. Sure enough, I found a tiny listening device under the sofa cushion. I crushed it. Still such a low-level tactic. The real move is still coming. I remember in my past life, she copied the data using a USB drive at Lena's birthday party. This year's party is next week. As I was contemplating this, Lena walked down from upstairs. She's gone, and she left a little gift. I held up the crushed remnants of the listening device for her to see. Lena's eyes turned cold. Ethan, she said, looking at me, next week is my birthday. I want to host a party here at the villa. My heart stirred. It was time. I want you to help me prepare a special return gift. She looked at me, the cold light in her eyes intense, and I smiled. The queen is finally stepping onto the stage to tear the green tea apart. Fantastic. I love this kind of drama. Don't worry, boss. Leave the return gift to me. I guarantee she'll never forget it. My pleasure to be of service, I said, placing a hand over my chest and executing a perfect butler's bow. A great show was about to begin. The double counterslap at the birthday Galilina Sterling's birthday party was grand and lavish. Guests of honor were everywhere, comprising nearly every influential figure in the capital. Old man Zhao Guodong's personal appearance with his granddaughter, Zhao Ling'er, added significant weight to the event. As the party manager, I wore a sharp tuxedo, moving through the crowd, ensuring everything was in perfect order. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the annual drama showdown, The True Heiress and the Sisters Counterattack, live broadcast. I am your host and gold medal bodyguard, Ethan Hunt. Tonight, our leading lady, Lena Sterling, will face off against the ultimate green tea, Lily Sterling. Who will have the last laugh? Let's wait and see. My internal commentary had already added countless titles for myself. Lena Sterling, holding her champagne glass, stood in the center of the crowd, like a snow lotus in full bloom, cold and noble. She listened to the live commentary in my head and nearly spilled her drink. She gave me a fierce glare. I immediately composed myself, adopting an air of serious focus. Lily Sterling was wearing a fiery red evening gown tonight, her makeup flawless. Arm in arm with Sun Yu, the heir of the Sun family, she charmed her way through the room, her spotlight even threatening to eclipse Lena's. Sun Yu, one of the capital's 4 heirs, was a notorious wastrel and the true financial backer behind Jack Harrison. Lena, happy birthday. Sun Yu, with Lily draped on his arm, approached us, his smile greasy. This is a gift I prepared for you. He held out a velvet box. I stepped forward to receive it. Here it comes, the standard villain entrance. This guy looks decent, but he's full of poison. In my past life, he's the one who bankrupted the Sterling family and tried to forcibly take Lena. This life, I'll make him pay you back with interest. Sun Yu's movement paused, and he shot me an unfriendly look. Who the hell do you think you are? Do you have any say here? He is mine, Lena said coldly. My gifts are to be received by him. Sun Yu's face darkened. Lily quickly smoothed things over. Oh, Brother Yu, don't bother with a mere subordinate. Sister, this is Brother Yu's kind gesture. Subordinate? Go to hell. You imposter, what right do you have to call me that? How big of a cuckold's hat did your mother make your father wear back in the day? Oh, right, you don't know. But I do. My inner voice was filled with malicious spoilers. Lena's pupils constricted sharply. Lily wasn't her father's biological daughter? This was too much information. For a moment, she couldn't process it. She glanced at me. I was looking down, wearing an innocent expression of I didn't say anything. I accept the gift. You two carry on as you wish. Lena collected herself, her tone distant. Sun Yu and Lily walked away sullenly. Halfway through the party, Lily excused herself to go to the restroom, quietly slipping away toward the study on the 2nd floor. I had expected this. I whispered softly into the tiny microphone on my collar. The fish is on the hook. In the study, Lily skillfully opened Lena's computer. She didn't know this computer was specially prepared by me for her. She pulled out a USB drive disguised as lipstick from her clutch and plugged it in. Start copying. This USB contains the grand gift package I carefully prepared for her. It has not only fake Sterling Corp core data, but also evidence of Sun Yu's tax evasion and several videos showing his indiscretions with various starlets. Oh, and I also included a copy of the DNA test report for Lily and her real father. Am I thoughtful or what? Downstairs, Lena heard my thoughts, her eyes growing brighter. She picked up her glass, walked onto the stage, and said, "Thank you to all our guests for attending my birthday party." The room fell silent. Tonight, besides celebrating my birthday, there is one more important thing I need to announce to everyone. As she spoke, she glanced at Lily, who had just come down from upstairs. Lily wore a smug smile, thinking she had succeeded. I'd like to show everyone something interesting. Lena snapped her fingers. The large screen behind her suddenly lit up. What appeared wasn't footage of a warm party, but the real-time screen of the computer Lily had just been using. On the screen, a folder named A Gift for Sun Yu was rapidly copying itself onto the USB drive. Lily's smile froze on her face. Sun Yu's expression turned instantly ashen. What is this? The guests began to murmur. Don't rush, there's more excitement. Lena's voice was like a demon from hell. She picked up the remote control and clicked on the folder. The first video was a recording of Sun Yu in a hotel room with a popular actress. The crowd gasped. Sun Yu's face went instantly white. The second, the third, all were recordings of Sun Yu's glorious deeds. Finally, a document appeared on the screen. The title, Parentage Verification Report Regarding Lily Sterling and Zhang XX. The conclusion, support for a biological relationship exists, and that Zhang XX was an old driver for the Sterling family. Boom, the whole room erupted. Lily screamed once and collapsed onto the floor. Sun Yu looked at her with pure disgust and contempt, as if looking at a pile of trash. Lena, you set me up. He pointed at Lena on the stage and roared, trying to sound tough. Set you up? Lena sneered. Compared to what you all did to me, what is this little return gift? She then looked toward me, her eyes asking a question. I nodded slightly to her. Boss, time to close the net. The police and tax officials should already be having tea with the Sun family and Suncorp. After tonight, the capital's 4 heirs will become 3. Lena's lips finally curved into a victorious smile. She looked at the man and woman who had completely collapsed below the stage, at the shocked looks of the surrounding guests, and felt an unprecedented sense of elation. She had won this battle, cleanly and decisively. And all of this was thanks to the man behind her. The man who acted silent and reserved, but whose inner monologue could support a Hollywood production. She turned back and gave me a deep look. That look contained too many things: gratitude, appreciation, dependence, and an emotion she herself couldn't define.